All right, so if you're a technical founder, you know the deal. Shipping product, you've got that down. But marketing, man, that can feel like this giant monster you just can't code your way around. Well, in this explainer, we're going to show you a totally new way to think about this, a way to turn the tools you're already using into a full-fledged growth team. I mean, does this sound familiar? It is the classic founder's dilemma, right? You've built this incredible product, but when it comes to actually getting the word out, it feels like you have three terrible choices. Burn through cash, waste a ton of time, or, just cross your fingers and hope for the best.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with that core marketing problem every founder faces. Then we'll talk about what we're calling your AI's missing manual and why it's so much more than just generic prompts. After that, we'll dive into a new growth playbook, show you how to get a real win in just minutes, and finally, piece it all together into an autonomous growth team.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the founder's marketing problem. And look, this isn't just about feeling frustrated. It's about the very real, very high cost of doing nothing.
You know the options, and they're all kind of painful, right? You've got consultants billing $200 an hour. You've got agencies that won't even talk to you for less than $5,000 a month. Or you go the Upwork route and get stuck in this endless cycle of delays and rewrites. For a lean startup, none of these feel great. In this right here, this shows you the real-world impact. We're not talking about small potatoes. The difference between just okay landing page copy and great copy is huge. Look at this. For every 1,000 visitors, jumping from a 1.5% to a 4% conversion rate, that could be an extra $12,500 in lifetime value. That's the cost of standing still we were talking about.
So, what's the way out of this mess? Well, that brings us to our next section. We're calling it your AI's missing manual. The big idea here is that you already have an untapped assistant sitting right there in your terminal.
Okay, and this is the absolute key. It's about completely reframing the problem. The issue isn't that you need to go out and find a marketing team. No. The issue is that you need to give your AI agent the marketing knowledge so it can act like one. I mean, think about it. It already knows your product inside and out better than any consultant or agency ever could.
And that brings us to a really important point. We have to move beyond generic AI prompts. We're talking about going from vague, useless advice to real expert workflows.
I mean, just look at the difference. On the left, you ask a generic prompt to optimize this landing page. What do you get? Textbook advice you could have Googled in 10 seconds. Add social proof. Use a clear CTA. Thanks. But on the right, you use an expert skill. And what does it tell you? Something incredibly specific. Your primary call to action is below the fold on mobile for 60% of your traffic. Now that is something you can actually fix. It's the difference between a vague checklist and a real expert diagnosis.
So how does it even do that? It's through this idea of a codified expert workflow. Think of it like this. It's not just a simple prompt. It's the entire decision tree, the whole mental model of a specialist who has done one specific task hundreds, maybe thousands of times. And all of that expertise gets encoded into a skill your AI can use over and over again.
Okay, so enough theory. Let's see this thing in action. Welcome to your new growth playbook. We're going to walk through a few real-world use cases.
First up, let's tackle a problem that gives pretty much every SaaS founder nightmares. The leaky sign-up funnel, right? You're doing the hard work to get traffic, but then people are just disappearing before they even get to see how great your product is. So using these AI skills, the process becomes super structured. Step 1, you use a skill to diagnose exactly where the friction points are. Step 2, you design a fix, something like an escape path, with sample data so users can see the magic faster. And then, step 3, for anyone who still drops off, the AI writes a 3-email re-engagement sequence to bring them back.
And the result? Just from fixing that one leaky spot in the funnel, we're talking a potential $2,400 in new monthly recurring revenue. And listen, that's not a one-time thing. That's a boost that compounds month after month after month. All right, let's do another one. Use case number 2. Building a cold email campaign that actually gets replies. We all know how bad most cold emails are. Our inboxes are full of them. But a truly well-executed campaign, it can be an absolute game changer, especially for B2B. And again, the AI-driven playbook here is super specific. It doesn't just say, write an email. No. It starts by helping you nail down your ideal customer profile, and crucially, a trigger event, something that just happened that makes them way more likely to buy. Then it generates a whole sequence that's focused on their pain, not your features. And it even helps create the workflows for what to do when they reply. And the potential upside from just this one automated workflow? Over $11,500 in new annual MRR. That is the power we're talking about, moving from just, founder-led guesswork to a repeatable expert system.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but it's probably a huge pain to set up, right? Well, actually, no. Let's talk about getting your very first win in a matter of minutes. Seriously, from installation to insight.
It really is this simple. You run one command in your terminal to install the skills collection. The AI then guides you to create a quick context file, basically just a little note so it understands your product, and then you run your first skill. Boom! You can have a prioritized list of real conversion issues in like 5 minutes, less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee.
And that first output you get, it immediately proves the whole point of this. You're not getting another generic best practices checklist. You're getting actionable recommendations that are location aware. They know where on the page the problem is, and they're tailored to your specific context.
All right, for our last section, let's pull the camera back and look at the big picture. All these individual skills and workflows, they all build up to something much bigger, the autonomous growth team. Think of it as the operating system for your company's growth.
And this is not just a handful of cool prompts, it's a complete, comprehensive engine. We're talking about 33 distinct expert skills, 51 command line tools that can pull in live data, a cross-referencing skill graph so they all learn from each other, and of course, live data integrations. It's the whole package.
And the depth here is just incredible. You can go way beyond landing pages. You can dive into pricing strategy, using psychology to structure your tiers. You can build out a full churn prevention architecture. You can spin up a referral program to turn word of mouth into a real growth channel. There's even a marketing psychology skill that acts as a meta layer to make all the other skills even smarter.
So let's land the plane here. Here's the big takeaway. That wall that used to exist between shipping product and marketing it effectively, it's basically gone. Your AI agent, the same one that already understands your product and your code better than anyone, is now your growth team. It's ready to go. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build?